All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel and the Strickland Twitter feed. And if you're listening to this the day after the Strickland Podcast Network, I'm Sam. I'm doing this one by myself today. Should be a quick one. Knicks lose their second summer league game, 92-85 versus the Brooklyn Nets. Knicks did hold about a 19-point lead in this game, and it squandered away from them starting at the end of the second quarter. But before we get into all that, of course, BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. Even once the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on the game. Get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, on your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online, the game starts here. So with these summer league games, of course, we're just looking to see what stands out with the draft picks that we got, as well as some other intriguing young talent that we may have on the team. I think everyone's player of today's game would be one center whose name I will probably butcher at this point. I would just call him Scap, though. He actually played a little bit of minutes for us during the regular season when we were like fully depleted. But yeah, I mean, he was probably the best or the most impactful player on the court today for the Summer Knicks. He really showed some stuff. He even showed us a little outside shot from three. Good on the glass. 19 points today, 6 to 7 from the field. Got some steals, got a block. Very intriguing player. We'll see what happens with him. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very interesting in the world of the Knicks with the backup center position, because the only person on the roster that's a backup center is, of course, Jericho Sims, who we're all really not that enthused about in the Knicks fan base. I think a lot of us are more concerned with possibly retaining one Precious Achua or picking up someone on the trade market. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Dmitro Skapintsev, that's his name. Yeah, he was very intriguing today. Showed some things. We'll see if those things continue in the next couple summer league games. If the Knicks are intrigued by this, they were intrigued enough to call him up last year when the team was kind of depleted. So we'll see what happens there. There is an opening at the backup 5 spot. I would assume the Knicks would want to go with someone a little bit more polished, I guess, but as we're in the contending window, this Skapintsev guy would make much more of an intriguing story, I think, on a ragtag Knicks team of old. But we'll see what happens with him. Very interesting today what happened with him, as well as who else with the Knicks was pretty good today. Dwayne Washington Jr., of course, led the team in points, 21 points, but, you know, he was just there to get up some shots. He kind of kept the team in it early and kind of was the main reason why we had such a big lead early on. But yeah, he is someone that I think Knicks fans really aren't all the way there for right now. We're not here to watch him. But yeah, he also saw some flashes from one Ariel Huck-Porty. He had 4 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. So some real nice stuff on the short roll, some stuff that we're kind of used to with Hardenstein. So it's very interesting to see what the Knicks will do with this backup 5 position. I assume Huck-Porty will remain on the 2-way. Same with Jacob Toppin, and I think Kevin McCullough will get that third 2-way spot. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see what happens with this backup 5 spot. It is very fun to have these young centers that are sort of kind of trying out at this point for the Knicks, and just seeing what they kind of bring. I think a lot of us are just looking to see if these centers have any elements of Hartenstein that can be easily translatable over into the pros, whether it's that short roll passing, some offensive rebounding, or the defense. Those are all the key parts of what made Hartenstein very important and impactful for the Knicks, and we'll see if any of these centers can replicate that or not. So, yeah. One Pacome Dadier made some field goals today, some jump shots from 3-point. I know there was some concern, or not concern, but like it was just interesting that he hadn't hit any of his shots that he had taken. But he had 11 points today, eight rebounds, 2 assists. 4 of 13 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. He showed some stuff defensively as well. That was very encouraging. I think what helps him a lot is that he's very long and he's very big. And that kind of just helps him, even if he doesn't have the natural defensive instincts all the way there. But there's something there. You can see it. And I have noticed that a couple other folks on Knicks Twitter have also noticed that he just kind of like moves like a pro. So that's just also very encouraging as well. You're just hoping that the development path for him, most likely, which will be at Westchester, helps him along that way, as we've seen with Deuce in these last couple of years. So, he's 18, still very, very young, super raw. So, at least he doesn't have the weight on his shoulders like a certain NBA player's son does these days. So Pacome definitely has some time to grow into his own and isn't on a time clock there. Jacob Toppin showed some stuff early on. We don't have to talk about him much. Tyler Kolek, 6 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists. Again, no turnovers once again. With Tyler Kolek, the passing will always, that's always the thing that's going to pop with him. But for me, it's like he's like a little bit too pass happy. I feel like he's someone that should take the opportunity to look for scoring opportunities more, because he can score. Like I caught a couple of his games at Marquette, especially this past year. Just scrolling through, watching some college basketball, especially during those February, March months when it really gets competitive. And he can score. Like that's not really an issue for him. I just feel like he's prioritizing passing a little bit too much right now, and the issue that comes with that is teams will eventually start scouting for it, whether it's in Summer League or Westchester, whatever it may be. Teams will scout for the pass. They will make sure that they're getting turnovers off him because they know that he's going to be just passing the ball instead of looking to score. And I feel like there should be at least a happy medium there. But you guys can let me know what you guys think in the comments. Feel free to leave some comments, as I will start going through them very soon. But yeah, it's just very intriguing to have these young talents on the team, seeing what they bring to this team at this stage. The Knicks are a contending team now, of course, so you're just looking for any signs of positive contributions from young players, whether there's someone that's going to be relied upon in Westchester or relied upon as break in case of emergency guy. As we've seen with this team in the past year, there's been a lot of those needed. Which brings me to our campaign signing. We signed campaign yesterday, in which that, of course, sent Knicks fans into a frenzy, as things usually do with the Knicks. But I mean, what I saw that signing was, as I just kind of alluded to, is that just having more capable actual NBA players on the roster in terms of breaking case of emergency guys. Last year was a lot of Jacob Toppins, Charlie Brown Jr., Shake Miltons, those type of players at the end of the bench. They're not really guys that you can even if you need to in a pinch, throw them some NBA minutes and they can be somewhat productive. With guys like Campaign, the rookies that we have, you're giving those rookies opportunities to develop while also giving them opportunities to contribute in case there's a massive injury surge like there was this past year. Campaign gives you another guard that can do things. He can shoot. He can pass. So that's what I saw the move as. I did see other folks worried about this being the Knicks kind of covering for themselves in case they do trade a Deuce McBride in a trade for a backup center. I don't want to jump too far off that wagon just yet, just because um, I just feel like the Knicks are very calculated with what they have been doing as a front office. Um, and I trust that whatever move that they'll make is going to be in the best interest of the team. Obviously, like that's all they've been doing since they've been here. So I think folks should just relax for a little bit. I know we're all very anxious and pressing about this backup center situation and the fact that they signed a backup guard and not like Precious Achua yesterday kind of leans into those theories, and they are sort of well grounded, but I feel like we should also just chill a little bit. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna get through some of these comments. Let me know what you guys think, at least of the campaign signing as well as today's game. There was some encouraging signs from a lot of the young guys, including Pacome, Ariel, and this Scap guy from he was on the Westchester squad apparently last year too. So yeah. Chris Bernhard here, he says, I'm already complaining, but how the fuck do you miss Daddy on that lob? Dwayne Washington Jr. This shit was the easiest possible play, and he threw it behind him by a mile. Good lord. Yeah, Dwayne Washington Jr. He's there. He's the two-way guy. He's the vet of the summer league squad. Yeah, I mean he's there. He's one of the guys that's there to give them some shot creation. The summer Knicks don't really have that in their lineup, so he's there to do that. Oh yeah, it even mentions Rokas today. Wow, Rokas was kind of invisible. He did have that dunk and the buzzer beater, but after that, it was like nothing else. But shout out to him for those two highlight plays. Definitely memorable for those. Well, we'll see what happens with the Knicks and Rokas. I mean, I did mention in the last post game that I think he'll end up going back to Zalgiris, I believe that was he was rumored for. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him. The Knicks guard room is kind of getting packed now with Brunson, Deuce, Campaign, and Kolick. So I don't really see where Rokas fits into all that. I don't think the Knicks really see where he fits into all that either. So it's fun to have him in summer league. I'll say that. But yeah, let's get to some more comments. Ace Bouchard. Shout out to Ace Bouchard. He left a couple of comments here that I'll get to. He says the Brooklyn Nets finally beat the Knicks, winning streak squandered. He also says, I feel vindicated. I feel like I've been vindicated in not thinking the Daddy comp to Knox being extremely lazy, both very raw, but Knox really just had shooting and nothing else. So yeah, this is an interesting comment. I mean, with at least with Daddy, we know that there's like a strong developmental infrastructure here that the Knicks did not have when Kevin Knox was here. And I think that's why some fans will think that Knox ultimately failed here. Like the Knicks just didn't have a developmental system that was in place from the jump that would have helped him. We've seen with almost every Knicks draft pick at this point that they have developed. So that's like something at the baseline that you can expect. It's just how far Pacome will go. We'll see. He's very young, just like Knox was as well. But with Daddy, there's also like the defensive potential as well that there was with Knox as well. But I'm just more confident in this Knicks front office, this Knicks development team, this just whole Knicks regime that will give you more. You can expect more out of a product than what the Knicks were able to get out of Kevin Knox. And shout out to Kevin Knox. He's still in Summer League on the Warriors G League squad. I mean, not G League squad, but Summer League squad. So, yeah. He also says Pacome gives you a bit of everything, but he's still very raw at it. Yeah, I mean, there in the first game we saw some Pacome creation stuff. This game you saw a little bit more a little bit more of that defensive potential as well. You saw the 3-point shot. So, little by little, day by day. Westchester will be good for him, though. That's what I'm encouraged to see. I'm encouraged to see the steady growth in Westchester and the flow of Westchester highlights that will get sent to our feeds during the regular season while the Knicks are thrashing teams. Nemo Petiter says, as an end of rotation point guard, would you rather have Rokas or Kolek in the active roster? I mean, I would say Kolek, just because, like, I don't know. I just feel like Kolek is just more likely just to stick. With Rokas, I mean, Rokas doesn't. I don't think Rokas wants to be here unless he has like a solidified role on the team. But who would I rather have? I mean, Kolek gives you a lot of that playmaking that we do need. But I just haven't seen enough from Rokas. Like he's shown some stuff here and there, but like I haven't really watched him play for Lithuania a bunch. So like what I'm getting from him now is like what I'm basically going to get. So I mean, I'm just expecting to see something else that I didn't see. He also says I didn't pay much attention, but I like a couple plays from Ball. Yeah, Ball is very encouraging. As well. I think Schwinn really was intrigued by him. He's probably someone that's going to end up on the Westchester team. I think he was someone that he had a couple of threes today, I think, too. And he's someone that, like, we were just talking about the other day about him not hitting threes. Yeah, he hit 2 for 5 threes. And he's someone that, we were talking about just the other day how he doesn't shoot threes. So maybe that's something he's adding to his game. He'll be helpful in Westchester. But yeah, I mean, the Knicks summer Knicks play tomorrow once again, against the Sacramento Kings. Hopefully, they can get a win. Don't want to be a winless team in Vegas. But yeah, I mean, just hoping to see some more stuff out of Kolek, Hukporti, and Dadier. Hoping they continue the strides. Let me see. Was there anything else I missed from today's game? I feel like. Nemo also says Daddy feels quite the reverse. He couldn't make his shots. He'll have to make an NBA, but the process seemed okay. Yeah, that's the main thing with a lot of these guys. It's like the process, because like we're not looking for a lot of these guys to be contributors right away. Like a lot of these guys are going to be like break in case of emergency, or like they're going to be in Westchester a lot. So it's like, you're just hoping just to see good process, and that's something that I can say that we've seen with each of the Knicks young prospects, and that's encouraging. I mean, as a contending team, that's all you can hope for at this point, and just hoping that the Knicks figure out this backup 5 situation, because it's very interesting. Because like for me with the backup 5 thing, it's like, okay, the Knicks didn't sign Precious yet. Precious is still a free agent. Haven't heard him rumored really to anywhere. And a team like the Pelicans, it's so bizarre. Like they're about to go into the season with Daniel Tice and Yves Missy as their 2 centers, and whoever they just signed the other day. I feel like Precious would be kind of good for them, even if he's not like the best center. He's still better than like what they have currently. And it's bizarre, that whole situation. I'm just patiently waiting as it unfolds with the rest of Knicks Twitter. Hopefully that we can retain Precious. It seems like he wants to come back based on Ian Begley's reporting, but I can't be too sure. But yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments of at least what the Knicks backup 5 situation. Nemo, why do you say the extension date for Julius? Okay, that's an interesting wrinkle within itself. He says we might have to wait until the 3rd of August to see how things evolve. The extension date for Julius. Um, I guess with that situation, it would be like, what do the Knicks do with Julius if he doesn't extend? Like, do they trade him or something? And then that's how we see the center situation evolve. Give me 1 second, folks. But yeah, I mean, that may be, wow, the 3rd of August. That's actually a while. Um, and you think they're probably just telling Precious just wait on standby at this point? Um, which, I mean, if he doesn't have any other suitors, I would imagine it's easy for him to just be like, okay, I'll just wait to see what the Knicks are going to do. But this situation is just so bizarre. I mean, I trust the Knicks, of course, at this point. But it's just really bizarre. I mean, like, my guess is that they just run it back with Precious, and then at the trade deadline, um, they just figure out the backup 5 situation then. Cause I feel like Precious is still serviceable enough to get you through most of the regular season. But then if Mitch goes down, then you're like, damn, what do we do about the backup 5 situation now? Um, so yeah, I mean, it was very fun to see Knicks fans overreact to a Cameron Payne signing. But hey, we got our Theo Pinson regen back, or we got a new Theo Pinson. Um, I see the campaign signing as more so for the vibes. Him and Mikal really seem to get along during their Phoenix days, so seems like the Knicks are not done reuniting former friends on this team. So yeah. So yeah, the Knicks play the Summer Kings tomorrow. I will not be on post game tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Schwinn and whoever else is available will be here. Um, but yeah, Nemo says Archdiacono will probably also come back at some point. Yeah, I assume so. And he also says that we might have an informal gentleman's agreement with Precious. Um, yeah, I mean, I could see that as the case. Um, okay. Judah Benchar, he also says, Sam, I wouldn't have thought anything of campaign except that the report was that they wanted Tyus Jones, a real player. That does make me wonder. Yeah, that is also an interesting part of the reporting, because it's like, okay, they were looking for someone that's more of like a playmaker type of style of play. And campaign is that type of point guard. Although he has fallen off since the Phoenix rejuvenation run that he had. Um, but yeah, it is interesting that they were looking for some sort of player of that ilk, which does make me intrigued that they might be looking to move Deuce somehow in a move for a backup 5. Um, we'll see though. I mean, that was the part of the reporting that I think did make folks sort of be like, okay, they're looking for a more traditional backup point guard, run the offense type of guy who can shoot. Um, but the intrigue about Deuce that is like why you play him is that you can play him with a Jalen Brunson. Cameron Payne, you can't do that. Like, he just is giving up too much defensively. Um, and like the shooting difference is that much better with Deuce. Like, wasn't Deuce like around like 41% from 3 during the year? So it's like, um, yeah, I mean, with with a Deuce, the shooting is better, the defense is better. With campaign, you're just asking for like marginal playmaking upgrade. Um, and who knows what Deuce can come back and do next year. So it's just like, I don't know. I think Campaign will be a 10th, 11th man, vibes off the bench kind of guy. And I hope they just run it back with Precious and hope that Mitch stays healthy for 65 plus games this year, you know? Um, it's also funny that the Knicks just keep getting guys that I like love dissing on Twitter. Um, Campaign, who I called an ugly mouse, who I think a lot of us called an ugly mouse during that Philadelphia series, signed by the Knicks. So yeah. We also got some more comments here. Ace Bouchard says the front office is trying to force Thibs to play Randall at the 5 lineups. Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. It would be very interesting to see those things happen. Will they happen though? Don't know. Don't think so. But it is very encouraging if the front office that was their vision. It's back to Judah's comment about Tyus Jones too. It's very interesting because Tyus Jones, like, he sees himself as like a starter, and like there is just no team in the league that's going to bring him in and he's going to be a starter right now. So, I mean, I would have loved Tyus here. Doesn't shoot enough threes for my liking. Defensively, isn't really all the way there. It is interesting to see what the Knicks game plan here is with this situation, because like Deuce, you can play him with like I said before, the intrigue of Deuce is that you can play him with a Jalen Brunson. A lot of these other guards that they're looking at, you can't, and like that's what made a lot of the lineup versatility throughout the injuries very fun, was that you had Deuce in these lineups and it was like 4 guards out there with Hartenstein sometimes, and like that's the type of like fun type of shit you want to see next year. Granted, the team's going to be healthier. It is still going to be fun, but I think a lot of the lineup versatility that we saw with like Deuce and like all these other guards out there just won't be there. And it won't work as much, I think, especially without Hartenstein being that like sort of like hub in the middle too. It's gonna be interesting to see what the Knicks do, man. I'm really intrigued. They're in a spot that I don't think a lot of us as fans haven't really seen them in, which is like a contender, but they do still have somewhat of a glaring need. But yeah, I mean, there was it also brings me, I'm just reminding myself of the Hartenstein article from earlier too, the interview with Bondi, how he talked about what the part of the intrigue of OKC was that, you know, he could get paid all this money and still contend and be a contributor. He said he would have taken a pay cut with New York if the OKC situation didn't present himself, which looks funny in the light because Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges, I mean, Jalen Brunson already took the pay cut, and Mikal Bridges is going to most likely take the pay cut. So it's like, I mean, what are you willing to do if you really did want to be in New York? You know, some folks will be like, oh, cost of living in New York and like all that. But I mean, he would have probably still been making what, 72 mil? That's good enough for the price of living in New York. I'd say that. But yeah, it is interesting to see. I mean, that does look funny in the light. For Hartenstein, he said he would have taken the pay cut and stayed had the OKC opportunity not presented himself. But like, if you did really want to be in New York, you would have taken it. But best of luck to him. I also saw that he's also like giving pointers to Ariel Hukporti, so that's always good, leaving the young guys some tips. And even gave him his blessing with his number. So we'll see what happens with Huckporty. We'll see what happens with Hartenstein. Yeah. Shout out to everyone that is leaving some comments here as well. We do have some comments, I think, talking about a lot of the young guys. Judah Benchar says also, Sam didn't Tyus complain about minutes when coached by Thibs on the Wolves? Yeah, I think that was an issue. And I think Tyus' whole thing now is just he sees himself as a starter. So, I mean, look, the way the market is shaping up in this new CBA, a lot of guys aren't going to get what they think they deserve, and they're not going to get the roles that they think they deserve as well. See, for example, today, Gary Trent Jr. signed for the minimum with the Bucks. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. is not the $25 million player he thought he was, but he's also not a minimum player either. So that's a really good get for Milwaukee. But yeah, this market's just not shaping up for certain guys. There's still a lot of quality guys, I think, that are still available that can be like serviceable backups on teams. But they're just the way the CBA is shaping up. I think a lot of teams are just waiting to see what happens with certain trades, certain players, certain extensions to get done. There's just a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts that are still not fully set in stone. And this new CBA kind of stops a lot of that stuff or slows a lot of that stuff down from happening right away or as quickly as things would have happened in the past. But shout out to the Knicks players for at least, making sacrifices and like trying to keep this Knicks team together, trying to work within the qualms of this new CBA and whatnot. So, yeah. But yeah, I think we're going to end things off here, or I'm going to end things off here. Shout out to everyone that's been tuned in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Usually these go on a lot longer than this, but since I'm here by myself, I figured I'd cut this one short today. But yeah, very fun watching the newly minted Summer League Knicks. They're young guys. It's been a while since we've had like a new crop of young guys to get excited about. So we'll see where these guys go, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the summer. And we'll see what happens with the Knicks and this backup 5 situation. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. We got links to the site, merch, Patreon, and Twitter. Yeah. Catch you guys on the next post-game stream. Peace.